Pleasers and Pleasers. How are we doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Welcome to our show, Checkpoint, the show where we discuss and discern the current events of the most recent episode of Check Please. Today we are discussing Check Please episode 61, and I would love to welcome our members today. I'm Keni, your fortunate host. Foaly is my co-host, now hungry for only fleshed out answers.
And no, not flesh. It's nice. It's refreshing.
Xeno as our Swamp Witch Swarm monger.
Hello there.
Just yours.
Aww.
Beardy, our DM daddy.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful day.
And Skrewy, our rock hard holy man.
It's Sunday once again, folks. Let's have some fun.
Indeed.
So starting the episode off, we started right into Risen's past and that whole spiel that Beardy had written up, and it was very lovely. I really enjoyed the repetition of it because it really felt like, oh, I get it.
That was a nice technique, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to write it that way because I wanted to emphasize the repetition and keep using the phrase for as long as you can remember. And I wanted that to be kind of the through line of that monologue, because the idea is that it was just Riz had been doing that for so long that is just the way that life was for Riz until Riz is like, I'm gonna start living life for myself. Like, I'm gonna start enjoying my time instead of just doing my job. Like, instead of just fulfilling my function, I'm going to start like enjoying the universe, right? I'm going to start looking at what I want to see instead of what I'm supposed to see. And that eventually led to crossing a taboo, and then getting punished. Which I don't know. We can talk about that in great detail. It depends on how deep you want to go into this.
Yes.
So the idea is that Riz is the herald of Thes. The being most aligned with the god of foresight and wisdom.
Could you dig into a little bit of the herald position and the celestial court and what that means in the context of
Eternal
the Adrian
court.
universe? What did I say?
Celestial.
Eternal court. Yes, beg pardon. Eternal court.
So it's called Eternal Court because it has to do with time. So they see fate and understand how things are going to twist and turn and become the future. So they call themselves the Eternal Court. That is Thes's court, basically. That is Thes's domain, is the Eternal Court. It is a group of extra-dimensional beings. Like, you could think of them as angels if you want to. But the idea is that their purpose, their function in the egg is to see what's going to happen and record it and make sure that prophecies are given to the correct mortals at the correct time to kind of make sure things move according to the plan that they see unfolding in the stars.
And Riz's position in that was to observe or to more directly shape or weave?
So it was to observe. So what Riz was doing was looking through a telescope and seeing someone's life, and everything that they would accomplish, everything they would do, and then go back to the court and report that information so it could be used in prophecy. So they were basically an information gatherer, and they would look at some tiny little speck in the sky and be like, okay, this is this person's life. And then they would do that, and then they would go back and they'd be like, okay, here's the information.
Okay.
And that was their entire role in the court. And they had done that forever until one day they didn't want to anymore. Until one day they're like, what's over there? Like, what's over there? Like, what's all this space over here? Because it's so, like, the telescope, the device they use is so exacting that, you know, they dial it into and it's a single person's life that they're seeing. And it's like, what if I just look around and just see everything else? Because I think more than anything, I wanted Riz to be a character who wanted to see the world, who wanted to experience more outside of that, like, repetitious life, and to kind of go out and be with the people. So when this all caught up to Riz as it went, and Riz is like finally caught like doing the thing they're not allowed to do. Thess is like, well, you have to be punished for this. Like, this is against our basically the only important rule we have, and you've broken it. So the only thing that I can do is I'm going to remove those memories, and I'm going to punish you by having you live among the humans, or like live among the mortals for a while. So Riz, wakes up in their Vardo, and that's when I use that phrase, for as long as you can remember.
Which is
Because
pretty
the idea
much
was-
how I started their backstory, even how I wrote it, for as long
Yeah.
as Riz could remember. So I
Mhm.
was like,
Okay.
oh.
And I wanted that to tie into your backstory and everything. So the idea is that now it's like, oh, Riz's life is that they go from town to town and they meet people and they talk to people. And I wanted the kind of parallel of Riz looking into their eyes and seeing the same sort of thing they would see if they were back at their telescope. So they see the stars in their eyes, and they're like, okay, I understand this person's future because it's the exact same skill set they were using back then to determine their futures now. So
Fun.
then at that point, Riz is going and experiencing life and living among the people and going from town to town and world to world, and for ages, or however long Riz had been doing that now. So I think I said a dozen lifetimes. So, a long time Riz has been doing that.
Would be a long time.
Yeah, and because I didn't specify the race either. So that doesn't mean human lifetimes. It could mean a lot of other things too. So for a really long time, Riz has been going around and been living as a person among people, which is kind of what they always wanted. And then when that curse was finally lifted, they now have the memories of both their lives kind of sandwiched on top of each other.
So if I may ask, I guess I have a two-part question here. The first part is, in what way did it constitute a punishment? The loss of power, or just the loss of identity?
I mean, the punishment was really more of a reward, I think.
Right.
It was a punishment in name only.
Are you
Right.
asking, like, what the curses exactly were?
No, I'm more curious as to why Thess would contextualize it as a punishment, other than when it was giving Riz what they wanted. Was that because they favored them as, the herald?
Yeah.
Is this
Oh,
what
yeah.
would have been given to any other
I mean-
member of the court who had erred in this way?
Possibly. I mean, we don't know enough about Thess's personality or enough about the relationship between Riz and Thess to make a final,
Not
Like-
yet. I haven't tried to contact her yet.
an overriding opinion about the thing.
Sure.
But we do know that it was enough that Thess was willing to punish Riz by sending them away, by exiling from the court, effectively. But also in a way that granted them what they always wanted anyway.
So the second part of my question is, why did the curse lift when it did? Why was Riz's act of giving away their accumulated wealth and helping Kurla, and also the curse beginning to crack by connecting with Levette, why was that capacity, I guess, to connect the answer to lifting that curse?
I think that Thess wanted the curse to only be lifted, or to only go away when Riz was in a good point, was at a good place, had people that they could confide in, had like a more stable life, and they weren't just traveling from town to town, and they had actually decided. So the idea was that when Riz decides to put down roots, is when the curse is going to start to go away.
Because they weren't just watching anymore.
Right, because it's like, oh, you like, if you are going to settle down and like decide to stay somewhere, I want you to have your memories back.
Okay.
And the
So
curse. Sorry,
No,
that was one
please,
other thing.
please.
The curse is technically never meant to harm Riz in any way. It was only as bad as it was to keep other people from fucking with it, so that way they didn't end Riz's vacation early, effectively.
Interesting.
Is Shaade good now?
Honestly, he's fucked up forever.
You'll have to find out. You'll have to
I'm
contact
gonna have
Sade.
to contact him.
Yeah.
Time to contact a genie.
Kenny, I mean, what did you make of all of these revelations? Did it jive with any feelings that you had about Riz's potential backstory? Had you seen any of it coming?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I stopped guessing a while ago because I found it more frustrating to guess because I was like, I'm not getting enough information to really know. So
Yeah, like this wasn't exactly like a mystery that I was dropping clues to be able to like figure out ahead of time. So I understand that was probably frustrating.
Now, in terms of Riz being the Herald, there was some conversation after the game last night about the role of Heralds overall, and when you introduced them, this is what you would envision for Riz from the beginning.
The Riz's role in the court, yes.
Yeah, okay, but putting a term to that didn't come until later on.
The title doesn't mean that much.
Sure.
Like it's
So
Also,
There's multiple people like Riz, though, right? So was there multiple heralds?
No. The Herald would be just one person.
Okay.
But it effectively would just be designating a ranking. But yeah, no, they're the Herald is basically a being that acts on the behest of their god and is typically the highest ranking member of whatever like outsider court they have, right? So within their group of extraplanar beings, they're the number 2 guy.
I am quite curious to know as well if Semogenous is all right, the priest of Thess that we contacted for help when we were in wherever it was. But the idea that the unbreakable taboo was Riz looking where Riz should not have looked, where only Thess is permitted to look, at how things end. How did you reach that concept as being the ultimate crime, the ultimate taboo, as you put it? And
well, it has to do with the cosmology of the setting, right? So everyone, like, I've explained the egg and how that functions, and also that the egg is supposed to end at one point. Like it is designed to fail at a point far in the future. Because I think the idea was that if something goes on forever, it has no meaning. In order for something to have meaning, it must end. So basically that information is very, very dangerous, and also like it's something that should not be spread around, because basically Thess doesn't want anyone to change it, doesn't want anyone to fuck with it. So by keeping that information under wraps, then it keeps that information more secure. So Thess doesn't want anybody looking at the end of the universe.
And we see some interesting consequences from Riz having chosen not to follow through with their duties, but to peer at other aspects of the universe and to not be reporting back truthfully on the fates of the mortals that they are supposed to be observing. And some interesting questions have been brought up on the document for this session. I'm not sure who added those. Kenny, maybe you or Xeno, but
you need
who
to
would
tell
like
me
to
which specific ones.
Well, specifically, I mean, someone has asked, did Ish slip through the cracks
That
because
was, in
Riz
fact,
wasn't
me.
paying attention?
That was my first thought last night.
I thought it might be, because yes, there were consequences to these mortals no longer having their fates reported on and thus shaped by Thess. Am I correct in that, Beardy?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate.
So,
But is
do
that
we get an
true?
answer about Ish?
Did Ish slip through the cracks because Riz wasn't paying attention?
I mean, I haven't specifically thought of that, but that's very likely.
It's all Riz's fault.
It's very likely, yeah. I mean,
I love it when people conjecture and solve the problem for the writer.
Oh god.
well, no, I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, Ish has been doing his thing for a while now, and is it possible that Ish would have been stopped earlier had it been for maybe like a better prophecy? Maybe.
Ooh,
You've killed Kenny.
Maybe.
You've killed them.
I mean,
I just had to blow my nose.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
killed them anyway.
So It's possible, is what I'll say there. It is certainly possible that Ish slipped through the cracks because of Riz's
Okay.
indiscretion. I don't know what the word should use.
Not giving a
Laziness.
fuck. I
Misappropriation of time.
I really liked that you had them be a liar
Shirking
too
of duties.
in this story, because very much so their
Mhm.
bluff check is just as high as their diplomacy check. It's
Yeah.
just part of their
Yeah.
character.
And it's just like they were in a point where they're like, well, I've been caught here. Like, what do I do? I'm gonna lie, and then they got away with it, and then they just kept doing it because it's like, oh, that worked. Okay, well, I'll just keep doing that, and that was how it went.
Just
So-
imagine the internet article where it says, "This is Harold's quiet quitting."
Yeah.
Wow.
These fucking millennials, as in people who have lived for millennia, you can't.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
So some question, as a question as well as to whether or not the person that Riz dreamed of back in Sejun was Thess, and I want to widen that up to the question of all the contacts with Riz, so the strange voices and the was the member, or rather was the individual who said those fateful words, not until you have enough, or you don't have enough money, rather, to get in. You don't have enough funds, whatever it was back when Riz died. Were all of these Thess directly? Were they members of Thess's court? All of this came as a result of Thess, I would assume.
Mhm.
But specifically,
Yeah, I
was the person that Riz dreamed of Thess?
Remind me how that went down.
I didn't
So-
rate that question.
Riz was walking around in what I can only assume is like the celestial plane of the Pantheon, because it was all like Roman Greco, and they were walking
Mhm.
around, and then someone was like, "You dare show your face here again?" It was
Yeah.
very aggressive.
No, that was actually just another one of the members of the court. They had the roles to be like who's allowed here, and like to put it mildly, like Riz's name is on that list and it has like 3 lines crossing it out, like circled twice, and then with like a scribbled note next to it that says "Do not let this person in." And again, that was because Thess basically sent Riz on vacation. It was a company mandated vacation.
Nice.
What I would be curious to know is whether or not Thess, given their position and their power set and their domain, whether or not they saw this coming, or whether it actually came as a surprise to them, Riz's disobedience.
I think that looking into the personal lives of their servants is probably of poor taste.
Interesting.
So I want to believe that Thess doesn't look too deeply into the personal lives and fates of their servants, but Thess also ultimately knew what was going on to a degree, because Thess was there the moment that Riz crossed that taboo, because Thess kind of knew what was happening, which is also why Thess asked Riz first what was going on, and kind of giving Riz the chance to give Riz the chance to come clean right there near the beginning, and then Riz chose not to. So Thess is like, okay, something's definitely up here, and then waited until the taboo was crossed, and then it's like, okay, I'm sending you on vacation. Get out of here. And then did not tell anyone else. Did not tell any of the other members of the court.
Oh.
So the rest of the court thinks that Riz is like a failure or a traitor or whatever, which is why a lot of them were kind of hostile toward Riz.
It's like a real workplace.
Yeah, exactly. So
The
Thess
water
just-
cooler chatter is all
yeah,
about what a shit
information
Riz
only
is.
goes up in an office. Don't worry. Like,
So I have another question. Were the other gods instructed to like help guide Riz then?
not necessarily. They just liked Riz.
It's one of those coworkers where everyone's like, I don't know, they're just nice.
Yeah,
They bring
Yeah.
donuts every Friday.
yeah. Like Riz was a very devout follower to all of those other gods. So it's like, sure, okay.
And now a
And-
lot of them will have lost money because a lot of them were betting that Riz wouldn't pull off recovering their memories, as I
Not
recall.
the gardener though. She voted for me.
The gardener's
Yeah.
cleaned up on this.
She's
Mhm.
like, I knew I had my right bet.
I'm gonna plant so many trees with this money.
they're just like taking the money, flicking, like just stacking it.
Yeah.
Counting it right in front of the people just to be really like rub it in their faces. So given
It's all there.
given that the kind of the role of fate and predestination and predetermination in the Adrian universe, what I'm curious to know is did Riz's kind of inaction, did their indiscretion actually permit a little bit of free will, or do you not see it in those terms? Do you see it as more of a there was a blending already of free will versus predetermination?
There was a blending of it already, but it's also very much like a certain amount of like quantum mechanics, in that observing something kind of locks it into place.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is, if you scry someone's future, you are kind of locking them into that in a way.
Good or bad.
Yeah. So like, you take fortune telling seriously because it's not, it's not something that has to be done, and as long as you don't do it, then someone has free will, apparently, or ostensibly, right? But if you start to like really scry every aspect of someone's life to such a fine degree, you kind of lock them into a more narrow path over time.
And it's interesting that Riz's perspective on that changed when they became immortal, and instead of having that sense of that one particular path and that observation of that path locking them in, they were able to see the multiple possibilities and multiple potential outcomes because they were looking at it from a more linear and a singular perspective rather than seeing the whole thing from beginning to end for someone.
Sure. Because the Eternal Court exists outside of time. I don't know if I've said that yet, but that's... Yeah.
Did you have any other questions, Kenny, on this topic? I mean, it affects Riz most directly. Are you satisfied with how things have turned out, and do you feel that that's going to impact your portrayal of Riz going forward? They seemed quite chill about the whole thing.
Oh, I
Seemed being the operative word.
think they're actually really excited right now. I think in the knowledge of knowing that they're living a mortal life is like surprising someone with cotton candy at the fair, because they passed and were like, oh, cotton candy, but it's too expensive. And then you run up later and are like, here's cotton candy.
Yeah, and then Jura hands you a sweet roll.
Exactly.
Like, that's the end of the monologue that I wrote, was Jura hands you a sweet roll. Like,
Pinwheel.
it was supposed to be...
I mean, what do you want?
So I feel as though it was really exciting for Riz, because they're like, oh my god, I'm doing what I want to do. This is so fun. So I think they're seeing it more as a sense of excitement in the way that living, even in like combat senses, like, oh, we almost died, but wasn't that exciting that we didn't? Isn't that super cool? We're alive. And I think Riz is kind of like slowly easing into this excitement, and maybe even just a sense of just bliss for experiencing things right now.
I will be very curious to see how a conversation with Thess goes.
Me too.
I'm excited for you to get back to your horse.
Yes, because
Oh,
the horse is still
too.
not quite fully explained, but I am very curious to know if there is an expectation now that Riz has recovered their memories. I'm wondering if there's I'm curious to see if there is an expectation that when they are done with their current quest, that they return to harness, so to speak, that they return to the Eternal Court and resume their duties as herald, or whether there is the expectation that they have changed so much that they are now free of that.
I don't know, their hair's
responsibility.
turning brown.
Yeah, that's weird.
That was
In a good
so
way.
wrong.
Look, I mean, it's a good look. I'm curious to see how that plays out as well.
So, was Skrewy's bet dragon? What was Skrewy's bet?
Yeah, what was your bet?
My theory was that they were a deity that was locked into, like, it's not like their memories were locked away, but it was because they actually did something really bad, not just, oh fuck,
Well, like-
I ain't doing my job.
Like an Owen situation.
God of Death. The dead god of death.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, like they did something super fucking bad.
Yeah.
Not just, not gonna do my job.
I mean, they did do something super fucking bad by the sound of it, but they got a slap on the wrist because Thessa was apparently quite a decent boss.
Yeah.
It's like, you burned out. I'm not going to fire you. I'm going to send you on mandatory vacation.
Oh,
exactly.
Specifically my theory was that they had a fortune and they saw it, but they did something to change the fortune so that it didn't come true, and in doing so caused a cataclysmic event or going
Kinda, right?
directly against the deity.
Which isn't
Go ahead.
that far off the mark.
Because they put in fake prophecies, so
Oh, okay. So,
I was doing a bad.
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah. Riz generated a lot of bad data that was used to formulate prophecies that did not work. And that's why the court was freaking out, because prophecies aren't supposed to fail. So they're
He's
like,
just sitting
why?
here like,
Yeah. It's like,
that's unfortunate.
I'm going to go look at stars. Bye.
Bringing Thess into disrepute, bringing all of their followers and
Yeah, so
priests
that's
into
why
disrepute on Adrian. Yeah.
Which is
And
why,
elsewhere,
like,
too.
a lot of their temples and shit are kind of dilapidated. They have like really plain looking temples because they don't have a huge amount of respect and power, because their prophecies don't always work. And
Whoops.
a lot of that's because of bad data generated by Riz.
And the thing
So-
is, we don't know how much that spans, because the bad data could be just one. As you said, they're not temporally in line with us. They're weebly wobbly, so they're.
now they have to bring IT in to parse the data to fix
Yeah.
everything else in the back
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Oof.
They've got to find
Oof.
data backups, but how do you have a data backup in a place that's not in linear time? So it's like, we need to get the backup from, oh God, from doesn't exist here. So yeah, it's a problem.
All I'm thinking of is the XKCD Bobby drop table semicolon name. You didn't clean your SQL inputs, so now the whole database is fucked. Oh, anyway.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Any final thoughts on Thess and Riz and where that's been and where that's going, or shall we move on to the rest of the festival?
Oh, I'm good to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the most important thing from the festival is, of course, the stuffed
Nope.
elk.
Oh, okay. Yes, the
It's
stuffed
not.
elk.
It's not the stuffed elk. You heard it from Skrewy's mouth. The
No,
stuffed
he
elk
said
is
no.
not important.
Yeah.
Oh no, I
important.
forgot about the.
he
I
wins
thought we were
the-
about to go to a different part.
I
of
know,
the
that's why I said it
conversation.
that way.
Yeah.
That's why I said it that way, darling.
No, if I'm honest, I kind of want like a stuffed elk.
Bless you. You want chisel.
I do. Just
And I want Levette to put that robot inside of it.
I want to eat chisel.
So does Blue.
That does sound tasty.
Elk is good.
But but Petra won the stuffed elk quite skillfully. Wasn't too fond of.
That was right in at 20.
I was
Nice
very
nat
pleased
20.
with that.
There were some good rolls at that point. Less excellent rolls in combat later, but we'll get to that. But an interesting conversation took place after winning said stuffed elk, which does lead to the true most important part of that conversation and that whole fall festival, harvest festival sequence. What would you like to say about that, Skrewy and Xeno?
I'm gonna let Xeno talk.
I've had that planned since the last time we had like the official Check Please episode like a month ago.
Yeah, like early December.
Yeah, and I'm glad I almost didn't do it because like I don't know if I should do it. I'm glad I did because man, it was a train wreck for Skrewy. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but it was really good.
Oh,
So this kind of
as it was happening, I started sweating horribly. After everything was done, I'm like, oh shit.
let's remind folks exactly what it was that came up.
Must
Oh, yeah.
we?
Yeah,
Yes.
Hummel wants to put Petravian, and back in say June, Hummel was asking Petravian to ask Vera if they could do so, because they do the body swap thing. That didn't happen.
Nope.
And now Hummel's using the "you don't want to die" card to try to get some of that sweet Petravian juice.
And it was proven in the last checkpoint that Petravian's still a virgin, technically, in this world.
Yeah, I was
That's
curious about that. I wasn't sure if that had been, I had thought that maybe you turned around on that, or you were giving that some more thought. I wasn't clear that in the last checkpoint after our Christmas special, that you had decided that indeed Petravian in his 100+ years of life had not experienced the joys of carnal relations.
Because he didn't want to do the whole concubine or let's pay for this, because that's just not his style.
The only protein soldier for whom that's not their style.
Nope, I'm going to take that thought and just throw it away. No, that's just not his style. And he was more concerned about his job. He threw himself into his job until he realized his job was death, and he realized, wow, I don't want to kill. I don't want to kill like this for this reason.
I highly doubt that you would ever say I don't want to kill, because I think you as a player get too much of a thrill from combat to let your characters be against killing.
It's going to be tough whenever I play a bard.
Why? Because you have to sit as support?
Yeah.
And do the same action every 3 moves?
It is fate worse than death.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, you don't have to answer this, Skrewy, but given that Petravian wasn't willing to pay for anything, that wasn't their style, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
They have known Hummel for a while. They have spent time with Hummel in Vera's body privately. So how exactly are we defining virginity here? Are we meant to assume that they haven't done anything? I was trying to phrase it more delicately than that, but fair enough.
We're 18 plus. Fuck it.
Fine. What level of sexual activity has Petravian experienced other than PIV sex? Or PI anywhere else
What
sex?
is PI?
Penis and vagina.
Oh, why don't we just say that?
Because it's quicker to say
missionary
PIV.
Or
I don't know it,
well,
though.
that's more positioning than it is
That's true.
the particular
Have you
sex
done
act.
the sex where you go like this?
Mutual
but this isn't a mouth.
masturbation,
This is
oral sex.
This is either a vagina or a butthole.
I mean, I think we've had confirmation that Petravian's into some kinky shit.
We at least know that he's had a blowjob from Hummel. I do know this.
Yeah, we do know. We did get confirmation that Petravian got a blowy. I believe that's as far as it's gone, as far as I'm aware.
As far as I know.
Correct. Yes.
For he on honeydew supped. Yes.
Which means that poor Hummel has yet to get anything.
That's the true tragedy of.
This is
very.
The truest tragedy is that Hummel has not gotten his rocks off at all in this whole process, and that's just sad.
And Hummel is a horn dog, from what I recall. So
absolute slut.
Yeah.
It says something that Hummel is willing to kind of wait for Petravian versus asking Vera to switch bodies and then going out and getting some from some a more casual hookup.
Yeah.
Does it not?
Could you imagine? Just Vera's body just shows up in your town and just is just trying to get a casual hookup at the local tavern. And then and this is all people near the hive, right? So basically Vera's body would just go down to Wittingen and try to pick up a minor, MINER, not.
Let's go. Whoa.
Not,
to get their rocks off.
Yeah, to get the rocks off, and then everyone else in town is recognizes that that's the fucking leader of the weird cult that lives on the mountainside.
Yeah, no.
No, we're good.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we have the weird snake witch that lives in the woods that's been there for hundreds of years. But that's fine. But this bee cult, no, sir, right out. Get...
Not into it.
Okay,
It doesn't
so-
work for me.
It makes me feel so bad for Hummel, and
He's
I
dead.
Yeah,
That is
Does
true.
he really deserve this? I'm not sure.
Does Petravian deserve it?
Ooh,
Is there
I wasn't gonna
is
ask
there
that.
is there actual is there legitimacy behind the idea that Petravian shouldn't die a virgin?
I was just wondering if like how legitimate the feelings are for one another, because they don't really. It feels like it's very much so only a sexual relationship, to be honest. As much as like Petravian's been like, I like Hummel's personality, and I'm like, I have no proof of this actually. I think you just like people telling you that you're pretty.
Ouch! Damn.
Ooh,
Screwy response.
I got nothing, man. I'm okay. I'll be fine. Fuck
I mean,
me.
you're welcome to have a rebuttal. This is just my
I
observation.
don't.
Oh,
I don't. I don't
Yeah,
have anything.
Because it doesn't really seem like the two of them ever have any kind of like meaningful conversation
similar interests, even.
aside from just like physicality.
They
and,
both like the hive.
promise of physicality.
Well, that's partially my fault because I don't RP as nearly as well as you guys do, so it's a little bit on me.
Should we assume then that they've had deeper and more personal conversations behind the scenes?
Well,
That was my
Definitely.
how I was
Talk
playing
more.
it.
Yeah, they definitely talk more than we do. I just don't like talking with Hummel.
Fair enough. So there is a deeper relationship. It just hasn't been seen
And you've
much.
seen my small talk.
I feel like if that hat was never made, you'd probably be asking Vera to switch places more often.
Probably.
Yeah.
We would have had better stuff if Hummel didn't get the hat. And you would have seen more Hummel throughout the season if
It's true.
the hat was
Well, in that sense, you're welcome.
For me, thanks. Riz hates Hummel so much.
there.
I will say this, Screwy, you're a good sport, especially when it's clear that more explicit topics you're not necessarily as
you
comfortable
get very
with.
embarrassed.
So I'm grateful for you being a
It's-
good sport, and I'm thankful that you would say if it was ever over the line as well.
I can't-
Absolutely. No, it's not that it is not over the line. It's growing up.
I
It
can't
wasn't
wait for the mini campaign.
Fuck.
Oh, also, I'd like to say that when I thought of the idea for having Hummel try and gaslight Petravian to this,
Gatekeep girl boss.
is that I knew if Petravian were to ask at that time, Vera would have none of it. Absolutely not, because
Mm-hmm.
she's already impatient, and like we have like a few days before like shit really goes down in the Holy
Yes.
City.
That was beautifully done as a player, and
You
yeah,
monster.
Vera's response was just fucking priceless. Vera was it was not the response that Hummel and Petravian may have wanted.
Hummel's still in high hopes. Like, it's not no forever.
Hive hopes.
I've hopes.
And
Thank God.
Skrewy was happy with one of his lines, I believe.
Yes.
The,
And what line was that?
That line was, Vera said, "We're about to take on a giant," and I kind of, under my breath, said, "So was Hummel."
There was some very good snark
Disgusting.
from everyone, some lovely little lines, and screw it again. You were being a great sport. Petravian was getting a little bit annoyed with the rest of the party's reactions to
What?
this.
Petravian reacting aggressively to any sort of criticism? What? No, that couldn't be him.
He was being judged on
That's
all
true.
sides, and he's like, it's not fair. I'm trying, and I'm trying, and the criticism is not appreciated. Damn it.
I'm
He
not sure
didn't
that
phrase
Curler
it that
was-
way.
No, I did not. But I don't know. I don't remember how I phrased it.
Also, I will say that Hummel had to make you ask the actual question to Vera rather than tiptoeing around the actual.
Yeah, because if you had done that without actually asking her, I don't think Hummel would have.
No, Hummel would not have been able to. Because the whole point is like we need to know for a fact that Vera would allow this.
And like speaking from Curler's perspective, they weren't really trying to tease you, or they just didn't really legitimately understand where you were coming from. And after they did, they just wanted to make sure that there was consent everywhere.
Yeah,
Beyond that, it wasn't really ganging. Maybe a little bit of teasing at your expense, but
a little bit, but I feel like at least a couple of the characters were like, "Hey, you've got like ways to not hurt our friend, right? Because
Yeah.
we do care about Vera, and you're talking about using her body."
no getting Vera pregnant. That would be, the body horror would get dialed up to like 11 billion if that happened.
I hate pregnancy horror.
Oh, I already know who the character would be.
I know.
Oh god.
Do tell.
What? No, I can't.
Can't till it happens.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well,
How fucked?
Actually,
How
actually,
fucked?
Here's the thing. I know a character that I want created in the future, and if that were to somehow happen, I would make them their child. Otherwise, they're not a child.
Oh, please don't tempt me with a good time, buddy.
my
No.
god.
No, you're gonna. Oh, fuck.
Is it worth the risk?
Okay. On the one hand, Petra potentially having his own bloodline continue. But on the other, no, that's fucked up.
On the plus side, the child would have like the coolest uncle ever in Cassius.
But on the
Oh,
other side
Crassus
would
Cassius.
have a mother
dad.
who doesn't love them more than anyone else in the hive, which
Fair
is
point.
probably very bad for your mental well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing
You're
up in
just
a
another
weird-
person in the hive.
Growing up in a weird cult with a parent figure, at least one who you don't know loves you and doesn't show that level of interest and affect, yeah, that doesn't cause any trauma in any characters ever.
And likely the dad's dead because, well.
Petra.
Because he did something stupid?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
In fact, hold on. Wouldn't the act of getting Vera pregnant pretty much mean
That's-
Petravian was going
yeah.
to die instantly?
Yeah. It's like Vera's
Yeah.
just like, all right, well, Petravian has to die.
Yeah, that's
Mommy,
pretty much it.
How
why
did
do I
my
have a
father
feeling
die?
that like Vera wouldn't fully
Painfully.
understand what was happening though?
I mean, probably not. Their education
Yeah.
isn't that.
I just feel bad for her mostly. She wouldn't know.
Ah.
She wouldn't know.
Then Vera wouldn't know?
Mm-mm. She
She
wouldn't
wouldn't
understand what was
understand.
happening to her body.
Oh, God.
I
And
don't
she's
think
used to her
so.
body
No,
going through
but
like
no,
weird
please.
changes, so
Oh, that's
mean-
that.
I imagine Vera would have like at least enough of a support group through the hive that someone would be like, "Hey, by the way,
You get a midwife.
like you preggers," and Vera's like, "What? What do you mean?"
And an ant?
no, I'm just retaining honey in a really
Yeah, like,
weird
this is
like
just-
oval shape in my tummy.
Yeah, I've been eating a lot of honey recently,
Yeah.
so I got a little fat.
That's right,
Thanks.
sweetheart. But the honey, it also has a baby inside of it.
Are you saying I'm pregnant?
Yes. And also it's pronounced pregnant, Sister Vera.
Pregnant.
But since you are, we've got some people who can help you through this.
How is Babby form?
Okay, so you understand what sex is, obviously.
And
Sister Vera?
that's all. See, the thing is, that's all that it would take.
And Vera
that
would
statement.
just be like, "Yeah," and Vera would be like, "I have to kill Petravian," and just picks up their scythe and just walks out of the room.
Sister Vera, Sister Vera, maybe you shouldn't be running at your current... Sister Vera.
No, then they go boon form.
You never
dear.
boon when you're pregnant.
Don't boon
Oh,
when you're
that's-
pregnant.
Mm.
I am, and I am sorry, Skrewy, this is totally at your expense, but I am hoping that at some point Hummel and Petravian get together. Hopefully not using Vera's body. Hopefully there'll be a way
Hopefully,
around
yes.
that. I know Grem or Levette rather did offer to build a body for Hummel, but
Everyone forgets Xenos.
Oh, yeah, I also have always had a backup.
I
Well,
beg
not
your
even backup. I had a plan before all of that, like back in say June. It's just it has to happen after we save the world because we don't have time to do it.
what better way to celebrate saving the world then? So it's
Bowman,
I am-
a dead man's body.
of course that's how I celebrate saving the world on every Friday night. But Skrewy, I have to admit, it is at your expense, but I am looking
Story-wise,
forward.
It would be phenomenal. It would be so cool, though, story-wise. It would
I'm
be
v-
so...
Is it willing to have Petravian die for?
Vera
don't
would
know.
not kill a member of the hive unless they were a parasite. So
Well,
Are you a
if you got
parasite?
So, a baby? Oh, I kid.
if it's responsible for having a parasite growing inside you, surely that's
Yeah.
grounds for punishment. But
I mean,
I want.
Keni, maybe? I don't know if Vera would be as extreme as me.
Part of me is just... it would make for a very interesting story down the road. Not immediately, but... oof. I'm just a real sucker for a juicy story. And that would be fucking phenomenal.
Well, clearly, given how pent up poor Hummel is, you're not a sucker for a juicy anything else. But I have to say, at your expense, I'm sorry, but I am very curious to see how you would navigate a sex scene as a player.
That would...
Yeah, Skrewy's
Uh,
never actually listened to any of the unreleased portions of me and Beardy's, like, yes, please, RPs. You do
No, I have
realize those
not.
were heavily edited, right?
All the fade to black moments.
Yeah,
that never
those were
occurred to
actually
you?
played out.
Oh!
Just so we know, we're not doing that on Twitch.
Yeah, we can't. But
We're not doing that on Twitch.
I didn't realize
Oh.
you didn't know.
I did not.
No, we had to put those in after.
Bless your
Okay.
heart, Skrewy. Bless your innocence. And I mean that. It's
also
refreshing.
Well...
I did enjoy when y'all tried to talk to Hummel instead, and Hummel was just like, "Nah, bye."
Coward.
Just zoop.
Should we move on from the sex?
Sure,
Yeah.
Sure.
it was a fun
Sure.
moment.
Because other stuff happened during the Harvest Festival.
Did it?
The kids were being adorable. Karis had to quickly get the kids out of earshot since they were quite curious about the kind of intimacy that Petravian was requesting.
He's saying it in a very particular way, yes, which means there's more implied importance to it.
No, they just want to go on dates. That's what adults do. Is they go on dates
Oh.
with each other. It's so they can spend time together. Away from all their dangerous adventuring that they do.
But why don't they just go somewhere else?
They will. That's what he's asking for time to do that, and they don't want it.
Oh.
They don't have time right
With
now.
Auntie Vera.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have pegged her to be interested in him. I
That's
thought they were more like
that's a
siblings.
word
They
to
call
use.
each other brother and sister all the time.
That's a very good word to use.
That's
It
part of
does
their
make things a lot
religion.
more awkward.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
it's-
don't think. They just look at each other. I don't think we should learn about that one then.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be good for us. I can't.
No, let's keep playing carnival games,
Okay.
kids.
Did you just use the word pegged intentionally?
No.
Okay.
I mean, that's just
Ah.
a word you use.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
In
Yeah.
other contexts as well.
In other
but
contexts is too, but okay.
bless you for knowing that. That's interesting. Or
The
have we
knowledge
explained
is
that one
there.
to
It's
you
still
before?
Just
Just
not the
'cause the kno-
experience.
Who?
Don't knock it till you try it.
mm,
Leave the poor boy alone.
It's fine.
Moving on.
as I said,
Moving on.
the knowledge of all this shit is here. Remember, I have to look through everybody's stuff coming into the after
Sure.
dark halls.
Sure.
Would you
It's a
like to
requirement.
listen to the old recordings of Yes Please that are unedited?
I don't think I could do that.
Okay.
I don't think I could hear the two
Skrewy
of you.
reacts.
I think I would last about 5 seconds. Like, I'm good. I'm good. I got the gist.
There's a joke to be made there about lasting only 5 seconds, but it was made twice
Mhm,
last night.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
Yeah.
I had a.
But the
I had
third
a-
time's the best.
It's not. It wasn't even funny the second.
It was a reprise. It was a self-reference.
Reprises aren't always good.
It eventually
It
comes
was a
back around
remix.
and is funny again. someday.
Maybe
Yes.
in 50 years.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we were giggling beforehand about how Palayana is going to go to the other extreme and is going to become a polygamist, like
Yeah.
nudist,
Gotta
sex crazed town.
It'll become
By season
Pelagiana in
3.
the future. It'll be
I
great.
don't want to be
Pelagiana.
here.
I'm looking forward to that personally. But anyway, other stuff happened. The kids went off with Karis. Archie was being used as a jungle gym, which was fucking adorable, and just rends the knife in even further with how much Archie is going through and how we really need to save the poor boy. But there was also a nice moment between Karis and Kurla, which I really enjoyed. Beardy,
Yep.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that it was the first time that Karis has kind of voiced doubts about whether or not she made the right move in resurrecting Kimball. Because she's at this point she's concerned that Kimball's not happy, and she knows that at least like Verla is at peace, and that may be something that Kimball never finds his peace. So it's sort of something that's been nagging at the back of her head. But
And not something she was willing to go into in great detail, but certainly something that perhaps Kurla and Karis will be able to communicate more about when the world is saved.
yeah.
It was... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. I was just agreeing with you because it's like that's just they've had a very similar life in a lot of ways, and I think that the two of them have a decent amount in common as far as like the challenges they faced. So I feel that the two of them would probably like make decent flatmates, to use the English term.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I love the idea that Kurla is welcome to spend some more time there, and I love them being Auntie Lala. That makes me so happy. Yeah, that I like the idea.
that
Of,
nickname. That
I
is
love the
just
nickname.
Phenomenal.
I love that Kurla didn't question the auntie, although I as a player don't know the gender neutral term for an aunt or uncle. I don't think there is one. Uncle just sounds awkward, but
I believe my cousin calls me auntie.
auntie, that's nice. I can get behind that. So some meaningful moments for everyone. Some interesting lore established about Petravian's character, and eventually, Vera having stormed off, we reunite with Vera at the manor and establish that now we have a game plan going forward. We have the 4 steps to saving the world. Time to check off number 1, which is getting the damn emerald, the sapphire.
Do you guys actually understand that sapphires have multiple colors? I just wanted to check because it was really bothering me last night with all the gemology information that I've had in my brain for so long in my life. I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's an
I honestly thought sapphires were only variations of one color.
No.
Video games taught me that gem equals color.
I had also only thought that sapphires came in variations of blue. I thought if they were a different color, then they were
Can you
different...
teach us some things
Yeah.
right now?
So sapphires
Like
can
a
come in
ruby is
almost
the same-
every single color except for red, because rubies are technically exactly sapphires except they have rubium in them.
Okay.
And so red sapphires aren't a thing. They can be pink, however, just like rubies can be pink, but the different contrast is the rubium in them.
This is wonderful to learn. Please don't apologize for having that knowledge and sharing it. I
Yes,
love
yeah.
learning things like this. I love when people have these particular areas of expertise. So any color except pure red because of the rubidium.
Well, yeah, and like depending on the pink of the sapphire, because there's obviously variations in nature based on how like condensed something is. If it has rubium, it's a ruby, because rubies come in variations of pink as well. They can be lighter, they can be darker. And of course, this is a little trickier because synthetic stones are also a thing, or lab-grown stones. So things get complicated, but you can really just tell based on looking them under an eyepiece if they're real or not. For example, my ruby is a lab-grown one, which makes it clearer and prettier and stuff like that, but...
And ethical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful. And I think it's really pretty, and even lab-grown ones, there are variations in how clear and pretty they are too. They just tend to send out the prettier ones because they can grow them. I'm so sorry. I researched a lot of gemology.
It's fantastic. I like learning these things. So black sapphires are
They're a real thing.
a thing. And they're not only lab grown. You find not natural, but you
can find black sapphires in real life.
Awesome. Yay, learning. Whee.
This one's a real big honker.
Yes.
I
Maybe
don't
not that
even
large
know
in
where
nature.
he found it. Is it cut or is it raw, by the way?
It is smoothed.
Smooth. Okay, so it's tumbled.
So it has been like polished
Polish. Okay.
over time to be like have it's a smooth semi-ovaloid like
So it
thing
sits.
that would sit in his eye.
Okay.
But it's not faceted.
No.
Okay.
Good
No
God,
no hard
I'll tear
angles
him
on it
apart.
because it was in his eye socket.
That would hurt, but you know,
would
I've
hurt
seen
quite badly.
things in D&D and other TTRPGs on like people just having like a gem eye. So I'm like,
And it's like that would be
that
really
would really
uncomfortable.
hurt.
Yeah,
There's
like, you
a
would really
whole
not want to have that
storyline
in your
in the
eye
show.
socket. So
Well-
no, it's polished. I mean, it was dirty and gunky because like he didn't like keep it perfectly clean, so like it would have had like
Yeah.
crusties on it.
Pink eye.
But I didn't want to get into like the specifics. It's black sapphire.
So pretty much like very similarly to I'm so sorry. Very similarly to diamonds, it's like the carbon in the in the gem that makes it black. That's why we have black diamonds, is because of all the carbon. It's the makeup of it.
So would a black
Love
diamond just be like a really young diamond since it all starts as effectively carbon? It just didn't have enough
no, it
time to
just-
fully compact.
It's just not a good diamond. It's got too many inclusions or whatever you want to call
Oh,
them.
okay.
Impurities.
Yeah, impurities. Thank you. Their inclusions
Okay.
is a different thing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
okay.
that's just where you find it. But it's still the same material. It's still a diamond. It's just not a clear diamond.
Hmm.
I have lots of proto diamonds that they're encased in wood, and I use them for writing things down on paper.
Very cool.
Graphite. It's what I'm saying. I'm being a smartass.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay, I'm done. I'm so sorry.
No, please, please
if I
never
can- if I
apologize for
can
your niche
share
interests.
A mountain of medical information, and you can sit through that. Yeah, I will happily listen to gemology. That shit's amazing.
I can, most recently, I can give you chapter and verse on the entire Japanese patent history of the Hitachi magic wand, so please don't apologize for your niche interests. Don't ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Razvir, we go on. Speaking of research into niche topics, I've perplexed Keni. Speaking
Sorry,
of research,
I just don't know what this like magic wand lore is.
it's a back massager.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
the back.
I
massager.
understand now. I understand.
Lovely. So, speaking of researching niche topics, we go into the library in the manor and
You're
we
right there.
start investigating the patent history of the Hitachi magic wand.
Yeah, right there. Oh no.
We start investigating Razvir. We need to check the language because obviously Curler has not indulged in the honey, and we need to, of course, check maps and descriptions of locations so that Levette can teleport us to a good area and not into a wall. Kenny, I'm so sorry. And what did I do?
Just keep going, please.
Oh dear.
Don't
Ah,
focus
this
on
is
how
me.
embarrassed Kenny is about this.
Anyway, so we do some research, and we also discover that foul language is really not appropriate amongst children, which
It never has been.
it never has been. That was Curler's bad, and they've established a swear jar now. So
Bitchin'.
no, that's not a
Bitching
word
is
you want to
not
use.
a bad word.
I grew up in a bad environment, and I learned some bad words, and I am ashamed of them. That's why I gave you the silver. You don't need to be using that language. You're better than that. Be better than your Auntie Lala.
You can swear whenever you want.
I started swearing when I was 11.
Started swearing when I was 11. Fine.
I mean, swearing is kind of required in the Legion, so.
I don't know if our aunts and uncles are good people.
I've only
I
killed
didn't
one
s-
person.
You've eaten them specifically.
I ate
mean,
part of them.
Oh, that makes it better.
Yeah,
does.
let's
I mean,
split
it's about the
hairs here.
percentage.
I
Didn't
ate
eat
their
the
liver.
entire person.
I ate their liver with
I
some
couldn't
fava
eat-
beans and a nice Chianti.
My eyes were bigger than my stomach. I couldn't eat the whole thing.
They don't have any eyes anymore, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, no one's gonna eat your eyes. Anyway, we finish researching Rasvir,
Hungry eyes.
Different song.
and we Levette rolls a fantastic teleport roll, second only to the one rolled later when we're getting the fuck out of there, because we
Oh shit. Yeah.
we have some. Vera was very happy, I think, with the way things turned out vis-a-vis Reg's side. I don't think I'm overstating things there, am I, Xeno?
Sure.
I was so happy.
But Vera was over here just wondering why everyone was still talking to the guy.
Yeah. Because y'all showed up and you're like, hey, we want that eye. And he's like, all right, I'll trade you for Curla. And you're all like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, Curla for the eye.
And Riz
It's
is
the
over here
trade.
like, can we kill them now since he wants that?
If Curler hadn't mentioned healing, would it have just gone down into the no, there's no deal to be had, we're gonna fight?
He was going to ask for like probably half the party.
Okay.
Yeah. He was always going to ask for slaves. He's like, all right, I'll take like you and you and you, and I'll give you the eye.
And that's how you know it's a bad person.
It's nice to feel valued, though.
Yeah. Well, because he's like, oh, you can like heal things? Yeah, all right, I'll take you. I'll take you, and everybody else can fuck off with this piece of rock in my head.
I just want to be clear that, like, Curler, very much about the diplomacy and trying not to get anyone killed. Me as a player, let's get into combat. Let's fuck these giants up. Please never make that hand motion again on camera.
Also, I was happy to see Curla casting harm. I was really happy to see that. Be like, oh, you know,
I
this
wasn't
person deserves some damage dealt to them.
because of that shield.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
too.
Should I have known at that point that because another curse
No, it was the
spell
second
had
spell.
been
No, that was
cast
fine.
at the shield?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I mean,
So-
for all you know, that only works once a day. So yeah.
Okay.
Or
Mhm,
just on
mhm.
lightning. So
Yeah, or just on light. I mean, there's
it
lots of
does
things
in
that could have
fact
been.
have a holy absorption damage.
I am
Cool.
very pleased that I cast harm because not only is that in keeping with
Mhm.
Curler not wanting to actually hurt or kill them, and also I could have cast destruction, and had they absorbed that and thrown that at Riz, that would have been the end of Riz. That would have kind of
Possibly.
sucked.
I mean,
Possibly.
Riz could have saved it, and I believe the saving throw for
I think that was a
destruction
nat 20.
actually would
sorry.
have been
Lower?
sorry. No, I think the saving throw might have been higher, but that's not the point. I think that if you save destruction, you take less damage.
Okay.
I think. Let me see here.
No, I think you're right. I think it's like 5 or d6 instead of like
Oh,
Yeah,
it's like
18
You would've-
disintegration.
Yeah, you would have only taken 10d6 instead of half of harm, which would have been 75 damage, like flat. So Riz took 75 damage flat for making the save instead of 150 damage. But if you had a destruction cast on you, you would have only taken 10d6, which the maximum you could have possibly rolled there is 60. So as long as you made the save, you'd be better off. If you failed the save, though, then you would have taken 180 damage just and died at that moment.
Yeah.
With
I would have been
almost no chance of coming back to life from that, too.
I would have been curious to see if that had kicked off what happened in Pentress Estates with time rewinding, but perhaps that's only a thing that can happen once as well, or is different now that Riz has recovered their memories. Who
I would have
knows?
loved to bring in my backup character, guys. At the 5 episodes left.
No.
And
Although
suddenly
that
this,
Great.
is that the which one is that?
The red one. I don't know how to be more obvious and more subtle at the same time for you.
Okay, that's okay. I think I know which one you're talking about.
There would have
Yeah.
been something really fantastically poetic about Riz dying in the same episode where they recovered their memories and dying at Curler's hand accidentally. That would have been so. In an alternate universe, last night turned out very, very differently.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about combat, about the battle, and about how, for starters, how it was structured, because it was more theater of the mind and less mechanically driven. Beardy, do you want to speak to that? The decision to
Yes.
structure it that way and how we might be doing combat going forward?
Right. So basically, I wanted to do theater of the mind style combat for that. I wanted it to be a little bit more cinematic, a little more dynamic, not worry so much about the intricacies of character movement and movement rules, and basically have it just generally a looser feeling to the combat. Let it be a little bit more descriptive and a little bit more mentally appealing, I guess, because a lot of times, if you get lost in the sauce of combat rules, it can sound really boring and be like, okay, this moves here, this does this, I activate this power. And I think Keni put it really well, as it sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh almost, where you're just everything is just incredibly mechanical and descriptive of what you're doing. It's like, okay, just this, and then I use this action for this, and blah, 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 blah. And you end up falling into this kind of rut of just this weird mechanical cadence of combat, and it can be slow and clunky, and
Really
it might
boring
not
to
be
listen to.
right. And that's the idea, is that it may be really boring for an audience. So I was like, let's kick this up a notch, and because I know I had gotten a lot of compliments about the Cassius Petra fight. And that was the last time we did a cinematic style combat. And I'm like, well, fuck it. Let's just try it again. Let's just see how this works. Now, I'm not saying that all combat going forward will be this style, but I think that for important fights, I would prefer it be like that. So stuff where it's going to be more cinematic, I want it to be more cinematic in that way. So that's likely to happen more often.
Nice.
It felt like that opened up a lot of possibilities. I know folks did some really interesting moves. Xeno, I want to ask you about opening things out with Desert Power, with your purple worm.
Kenny can't leave yet. We're still rolling.
Sorry, Keni.
Oh no, man, I had so much fun with the purple worm. I've been waiting to bring him back out with Strongjaw for basically as long as I've had summon Elder Worm.
Mm-hmm.
So what Strongjaw? How does that work? I mean, I know you used it last night, and I promise I was listening. But just for listeners, can you go over Strongjaw and why it's so effective with the purple worm?
So further, I've used Strongjaw before on Hummel.
Okay.
To raise his DC or raise his damage output. But basically, what it does is when you cast it on a creature, its natural attacks become one size category stronger. So it can go from a D8 to 2D8 or something like that. Or I mean, basically increasing the dice size potentially. It all depends on where you're going from. It's going from small to medium and all that. And in this case, it was going from colossal to colossal plus, which isn't a thing. If I'm correct.
So basically, when you get to that point, you just add a die onto it. So base damage went from 4d8 to 5d8.
So did that bring it up to the giant size or eclipse the giant size?
Oh, it was already bigger than the giant.
Okay.
Yeah. How big was the giant? Was that a...
The giant was huge, and the purple worm, I believe, was colossal. I believe.
Yes, I believe so.
So, yeah, if that was the case, it actually might have been able to pull off a swallow whole, which would have been fun.
So their first bite attack, and this is before Strong Jaw came into effect, but their first attempt to chomp down on the giant's leg did not quite work out. But thankfully, Riz for the save there with rewinding time. And then the purple worm came into play again with an interesting maneuver by Petravian, which Skrewy may be able to speak to in a moment or two.
Oh yeah, no. For which one? The
When you swapped with the purple worm using your
Oh
swamp
yeah,
shape.
yeah. So I knew that that Petravian. So Petravian trapped. Whatever he could do, grace and then try to move out of there, and do a 5-foot. But I kind of wanted to get the giant off kilter. So I figured, well, a worm can't theoretically be prone, right?
I mean,
So
can it?
I figured. So
what
I
side is up?
exactly. So he thought, okay, switch spots. So now Worm is not prone, and so he's attacking as he would. Petravian is up and out of the way and able to attack. So it was, but I just, I was very pleased with the, okay, I can do the swift, then this, and then this, knowing that with each step, so long as each step works the way it's supposed to, it would turn into something fun. And I love that with the cinematic aspect of everything, it lends itself to trying those kinds of multi-step moves.
It did seem to spark a lot of creativity with the movesets, and I think I felt like it worked really well, and I was spurred to more creativity. Did everyone else enjoy this shift in approaches to battle?
Sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to do it again and more.
And I kind of felt like we had to be on our toes because the dice were very much not in our favor last night when it came to
Yeah.
crits.
It's just our Tuesday game all over again, Beardy. Just all the fucking crits. You're like, I'm not
Yeah.
a lucky person, and then all I see are you getting crits and fucking 19s lately. I'm like, sure. Sure.
I don't know what you want from me. Like, I can pull up the dice log.
Keys.
I mean,
Keith.
there's no implicit accusation of cheating there. Of course
I can pull
not.
up the
But
dice logs and show you.
Oh
But
no, I don't think you're
no.
cheating. I just think you have witchcraft in your fingers, and I'm mad at you.
Look, I rolled nat 20s until I rolled a nat 1 and completely
know.
fucked the boss
It worked
up.
well.
Like, goddamn.
well,
It worked well.
let's talk about that in a second. Riz's Stormbolts kick some serious ass.
Great spell.
I mean, it is an 8th level spell, so I sure hope it kicks ass.
But that gets turned around because, of course, Romnir, I think his name was,
Mm-hmm.
thus identifies Riz as the most dangerous person on the board, which, of course, they were in that moment.
I just wanted to
How
take
much-
out the other giants fast so that we could just focus on him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sensible. Sensible for the team, maybe less so for Riz, because then that damn absorbed harm spell came back Riz's way. Sorry. I'll feel bad about
Yeah,
that forever.
But also, like, realize that Kurla with that mass heal and granting temporary HP
Oh, yeah.
was incredibly beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that gave everybody a ton of hit points. It practically doubled everyone's HP effectively. So
I would have been dead.
Yeah, it was very, very important. Like, it would have been much worse had that not happened, because those giants were putting out a lot of pain.
Yeah, I would have been dead twice over.
Yeah.
I worry that was sort of game breaking, even though I know you design combat around the skills and spells that people have, and I figured that it was appropriate given how hardcore this battle looked like it was going to be.
I feel like Vera's finally up to snuff with Archie in a way with this purple worm spell. It kind of feels cathartic to not just have Archie finish everything, I guess. Even though
Who
he's
would win
super
between-
helpful. But it's like, oh, this kind of feels nice.
Can
It's not
we
just
do-
Archie.
Can we do like a battle royale, and it's not? It's more like a Pokemon Stadium thing, where at one end we've got Xeno with the purple worm, and the other end we've got Levette with Archie. I
I
kind of
feel
want to see
like
that.
I feel like Archie would demolish the purple worm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the only chance the worm would have would be to swallow Archie whole.
Mm-hmm.
And even that's not that great of an idea, because Archie can still attack from inside. So, it wouldn't be a good fight, I think. But yeah, I mean, maybe like a final like post-campaign battle royale might be interesting to see, like with everybody at level 20 fighting each
Fully
other.
leveled out.
Yeah, fully leveled out party as a battle royale might be interesting.
Could we stream it?
I mean, that's up to you. So, I'm just
I
throwing
have
out there as
some
a thing we
things
could
planned in between seasons. Just be
Okey
patient
dokey.
for them.
do. Mm-hmm.
While
So-
Beardy's writing, I have presents.
Yay!
The one thing I do have a question on in terms of Petravian's
Virginity?
new throw. Well,
Sorry.
his fuck now.
Screwy,
I was
you
gonna
say
s-
what you need to say. Okay, give
Yes,
yourself
please,
a second.
please do. Please do.
Petravian's hammer,
Mm-hmm.
because now, with its new throne ability, it says
Mhm.
increment of 10. So basically now he has a 10-foot radius rather than just the 5.
I'm not sure what you mean. So you're
Okay,
talking about
no.
the range increment on the thrown weapon?
Yeah, because I thought it was because
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that in the future that when throwing the weapon, it's not losing its pungentness.
It's always going to be weaker than if you hit them right next to him.
Well, yeah. So basically, your ranged attacks are not as high as your melee attacks
Mhm.
because your dexterity is not up to par with your strength.
Okay.
And since ranged attacks are based off of dexterity, not strength,
Mhm.
you're going to do a little bit less on your attack
Okay.
rolls. Now the damage rolls will be the same because damage on a thrown weapon is the same as a melee weapon. It's still strength.
Now, if
Now the range increment, the way that works is, I think it's I believe you said it's 10 feet on that.
Yes.
Okay, so that means for every 10 feet you throw, you take a -2 to the attack. So you
Okay.
can still throw out to a bunch of distance. You just take a compounding penalty the further out it goes.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
So like
Now
yeah, so
Yep.
like the giant was I think 30 feet from
30
you when you
feet.
first were
So-
throwing, so it would have
Mhm.
been a -4.
that's not terrible.
Yeah.
Not terrible, but
So up to 20 feet is -2, up to 40
Okay.
feet is -4.
cool beans. But now it's returning and it's flurry of flowers and I love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're able to throw it, as many times as you need to in a round because it just keeps reappearing in your hand, and you keep throwing it back and doing a lot of damage.
Sold
at
it
the
at
same time.
first.
Yeah. Where do you think I wanted to get? Well,
Soul-
not where I
yeah,
got the
Soul-
idea, but
you
Soul
got from
started season 1 with that.
yeah.
I do want to applaud you for not going the kind of more obvious like Thor returning hammer direction and
Yeah.
keeping it much more within Adrian and making it your own thing. That's awesome. So well done. It's
question:
more creative.
when the flowers appear, do they stay there and just like they just fall to the ground? So at the end of like a grueling
just like
long,
this
you're in a pile of flower
Beautiful
petals.
romantic scene.
Well, I'm gonna leave that for Beardy to decide. But I
They-
would, if it were
the,
me,
the
they would
flower
do-
petals fade away. They're not real flower petals.
What?
Do you mean this
Sorry.
magic isn't real?
Faux petals?
They're not permanent flower petals.
Damn.
It is the effect of the spell.
Mhm.
So
I want to
they-
believe they fade away within like 5, kind of like Spider-Man's webbing. It dissolves.
No, they have to
After a
clean
short
that up.
Yeah, the city's
Like
just covered in spider
industrial
jizz
steel.
all the time.
Ew, thank
Dude,
you.
the
Thank
city
you.
like the
There's a budget for it.
urban sanitation budget in the city is just incredible because of all of the helicopters that they need to hire to go up and down the city and just like spray off
Mhm.
the
Ew.
buildings. It's
So
disgusting.
J. Jonah Jameson kind of has a point about Spider-Man being
He's a
Oh, he's a
menace.
menace. He's a menace.
He's a menace. He was right all along. Well,
Just
shall we
throw-
talk about?
He's just throwing ropes all over the city.
Oh my-
Beardy, you're so inappropriate today.
It's it. Mm.
I'm sure
I had
there
to
was
break-
no reason for that to happen.
I just had to break Foaly. That's all.
But I mean, there was some debate at the end of Killing the King on who would truly be the king, Vera or the worm.
Sorry, I did want to, before we get to that, touch on that final killing blow with the crit, the crit fail, finally a crit against the DM, and then going into the strong draw
Oh,
as we
Jiro's
discussed.
attack? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Jiro's, yeah. Was Jiro's attack the
It was
crit?
the nat 20 that got rid of his arm.
Yes.
Yeah, that was Jiro.
And then finished off by the purple. I'm trying to remember exactly what the sequence was.
Sure. So the giant had jumped in and landed on Petravian. Petravian swaps with the worm. Petravian starts attacking him from the side. Before he has a chance to bring his weapon over and attack Petravian directly with a sword, Jiro runs in and delivers an attack. I get a nat 20 on his attack. I pull the severed hand card, which says that the target gets a fortitude save, and I'm like, well, this guy's fortitude is disgustingly high, so there's no way he's gonna fail this. And I roll a nat 1, which is an auto fail. So so he gets his hand chopped off, sprays blood out, and then at that point the Vera's up. I figured Vera would deliver the killing blow because I imagined that Vera would want to have that title of Kingslayer. Instead, casts the strong jaw on the purple worm, and then it comes in and just knocks him out from that shot.
Delicious.
So interesting. I did not expect Vera to pass up the opportunity to deliver the killing blow.
I mean,
So King.
it was on her command.
That's fair.
In her mind, I feel like she still considers herself the Kingslayer.
She just delegated. That's what a
Yeah.
good leader does.
As a good leader.
But we're all equal here.
First among many and all that. But yeah, as Kenny was saying, there was some discussion over. Well, I mean, Kenny, I'll let you. You should say it.
Oh, there was discussion on who was truly the king of the giants. I suppose
Purple
that
worm.
only really matters if we had stayed. I assume the giants technically have fought it out at this point to see who is the ruler, since no one was there. Oh no,
Something like
it's
that.
degraded. Oh, I'm gonna be
It's-
soup
it's-
in the future.
It's gonna be destabilized a little bit for a while. So yeah.
I'm gonna be soup.
It's a good thing that nothing we do has any lasting consequences in terms of Adrian's law. Otherwise, the power vacuum that we've left in getting in and getting out, killing the king and killing most of the court in, what was it, 3 minutes total?
About 3 minutes, yeah.
With a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial group. That's not
Multinational
going to...
strike force, yeah.
Yeah. Steel Team 6.
Yeah.
Then that's
Yeah,
not going to
well,
cause any problems.
Rainbow Six.
Oh,
Rainbow Six.
maybe not our characters right now. Maybe some people in the future who get turned into soup
Yeah, who get thrown into a soup pot. Yeah.
That's
and almost
never
drown.
fun.
They probably deserved it.
Fuck you. She's adorable and deserves better.
All your characters deserve better.
I don't know which one it is, but they probably deserve
It's Pringle.
it. They definitely
Yeah,
deserve
I knew you would say that for them, so it doesn't matter.
I thought it was going to be Lavi. That's okay. Better Pringle than Lavi.
it. Yeah, Lavi
Yeah.
sounds like they'd make a better dinner.
Mm.
'Cause I mean,
Delicious.
yes, but Lavi also could fly away, so
Yeah.
it makes it easy.
Pringle
Fair
could
point.
not.
Oh, those vestigial wings.
Itty bitty wing.
Itty bitty bat wings. So small.
So small, can't fly.
But thankfully,
Tiny.
we did in fact kill a king, and we stole
Mhm.
his sapphire eye and all of
Yep.
his equipment, and then took
And a
way too long
shield.
to talk for some reason to leave. So we left, and then Vera burned down the stone castle.
Well,
Yeah, killing the
Sapphire
two
never
giants
came
we-
inside, but-
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
So it would have taken probably. I don't know. Was the throne also stone?
Mhm.
Yeah. So just basically burned anything that was flammable inside the area. If there was anything, the
Bodies.
people who were down, and then the people who were entering, because that spell hits everything.
Yeah. So y'all left right as that was taking effect, and yeah, the area is going to be covered in a terrible firestorm, which is going to further make you guys legendary enemies of these people for forever. So
And we'll never go back.
And your
Yeah.
and their children.
yeah,
Especially
So-
Levette having flipped the bird from the teleport pad. If there were any gnomes
like-
left in the steam isle, they've now really sealed their fate.
yeah. So now Rasphere is going to build. They're going to like go over to the Zash Basin, burn down the city there, build a big fucking boat, sail it all the way to the ocean, go to the steam isle, kill every gnome there, and then like turn it into a new giant fortress.
Well, then
We'll
again, who knows how much the giants know about gnomes? Maybe they just think it's a small halfling. And what's right next to?
Right,
That
they'll just
area.
go and burn down the Merry Valley.
I have
Oh,
some bad
fuck.
news,
There.
guys.
Yes?
Oh shit.
So, you know how Zell's kind of like a protector?
Oh, yeah. No, okay. The Merry Valley falling, that was...
Don't worry, walls exist to protect everyone.
Of course.
Yeah.
And packs, packs are cool.
Mm-hmm.
They help.
We have sentenced that poor oldest halfling in the village to death, although bedtime was probably
Yeah,
up soon
she's
anyway.
gonna die soon. She'll die before the terrible thing happens.
Mrs. Wimblepot's ancient. Like, whatever.
She's fine. She lived a good life.
Have you seen her political views?
The Merry Valley for the Merry Valley only. The Merry Valley for halflings only.
I mean,
Yeah.
Make the Merry Valley great again.
She would have hated. It's a good thing we didn't go down to the party because the shit that would have come out of her mouth about us, that would have been brutal.
Well, I got some bad news because I was at the end of the episode. I fucked up in my delivery of the ending of that episode because I was going to say we fade to black, and then I remembered. Wait a minute, there's one last thing, and I started talking, but we'd already cut the episode, so I was like, fuck. Okay. You guys were going to get a sending spell from Zell at the very end of that episode, being like, "Hey guys, come on down. It's time for the party."
What, end of 61?
We're gonna go there anyways.
Yeah, so I could
Goddamn
read. I don't have it open, but like, yeah, there's a sending spell I wrote out, so he has a message.
We'll
for all
have it
you
in the
guys.
beginning anyways. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll how we start 62. It's fine.
Which will be next Saturday.
So I look forward to continuing the campaign for as long as it goes, and we'll see. I'm excited for this Wimblepots party.
We'll discover just how racist she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How
You
Twitch
know,
reviews are.
I bought these elf ears. Aren't they so funny?
Oh my god.
Wow.
Holy shit.
So, thank you all so much for joining us today for Checkpoint. We will see you next Saturday for episode 62, and we hope you roll with us soon. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.